Oh, well, hello, guys, and welcome to a special episode of the Sofa Real Talk here on Facebook Live. And if you happen to be watching this a little bit later on YouTube, kick, beat, destroy the like button and add some comments because they do help. Also on Facebook as well. So we have a newbie here on the show today, which is awesome. The show starts at 8. It's right at 8, but you guys know that I need to share my 3 shares before I go to jail, Facebook wise. So let me go ahead and do that. And if you ladies don't mind sharing too, I totally appreciate it. It helps and allows us to get a little bantering in the comments going on here.
Absolutely.
So, and while we're doing this, how you ladies been doing tonight?
Doing so great tonight.
Okay. What about you, Miss Whitney?
Doing well.
Okay. I was Nisa, you hit me like right when I was making my last go round with my red velvet pound cake, and I was trying to hurry up so I could put it in the oven.
Oh, you just gonna keep teasing me with the cake.
Yeah. And then I had already mixed the key lime, but I had to sit it over to the side so that I can wait and put both of them in the oven at the same time. Yeah.
If we live closer, I'm telling you.
Right.
I got you. I got you, Miss Whitney. I don't know. You might be my test subject for shipment. You're not too far away because regardless, I have to ship it overnight.
Yes.
And that's what's bothering me.
Mm-hmm.
I know if someone wants it, they're going to buy it. But still, my conscience is like, because if you, I don't know if folks know, and then we're going to go ahead and hit that intro. If you buy some cinnamon buns from cinnamon rolls from Cinnabon, whatever, however you want to call it, you get a half dozen. You're gonna pay almost $100. Yeah, and they ship it overnight, but it does take like three to don't quote me on this, but 3 to 5 days shipping. Cost. And then you have a queue basically, and so they're going through that process. But once it's cooked, it's shipped overnight. But the overnight delivery fee is kind of like $50-some.
I'm sewing. Look, you're not finna sit up there and get me all psyched up about paying for overnight, and then you're not gonna get it to me overnight.
I am, but that's the thing. That's why I'm trying to. I'm gonna do it. It's just I can't be feeling sorry for my customers basically because it's just,
well, I'll start simple. Cookies are easier to ship than
I can't cook cookies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, see, that's my I can't. I'm the I can't man when I can't cook cookies. My cookies never come out right. I can only cook peanut butter cookies, and that's sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I'll definitely try those if they become available.
They won't, trust me.
There we go.
They won't, trust me. I'm not gonna hurt myself like that. So guys, this show is again random, and we're gonna be talking about 2 clips. One from Ace Metaphor. If you guys don't know him, I don't question his methods or anything, because some of his, it's just like anybody else. Some of the stuff you can go even with mine, you can go I understand. And it was just one of these clips, actually multiple clips I've come across of his that actually stood out, and this one did. So we're gonna run the intro, guys. Please share and get this out there because I think we're gonna have one heck of a show. beep, 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 beep.
I need you to do the marketing.
That's what I feel like. All right, so our lovely new guest, Miss Nisi. Can you please introduce yourself and tell us what you do, my love?
Oh, okay. So my name is Jenese. On Facebook, it's Nisi. I am an esthetician. I'm straight from Atlanta, the real Atlanta. And I'm an esthetician, which means I wax. That means I do skincare, facials, um, skincare and retail. But my favorite thing to do is waxing,
Huh.
especially my guys. I love when they
Wait,
come.
hold on. Why you gotta especially love waxing us?
What do you mean? Because men are big babies.
Bruh.
Men are really big babies, and it's like that hard facade. You know how men are. They're tough. So they're doing the hard work and all stuff like that. But when it comes to waxing, it's not the same. The
So
energy ain't the same.
it's almost like getting needles. Having a bodybuilder going to get a needle, a shot or something.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I love it though. I absolutely love it.
That's sad. You just want to abuse us. It's just like Miss Whitney's book. You're just out
You
to
gotta
get
check
us.
me out on IG at the Clutch Lab. That's what. Look, I do have some videos.
You do have some? Oh. Hmm.
So if you ever want to come on my podcast, I would love to snatch you on live.
Wow.
Wait, okay. So before we start, okay. So when you say snatching, what are we snatching?
Everything from the diamonds to the rubies. I got you.
So even the backside, because I'm gonna tell you like this, not to gross anybody out. I always throw myself under the bus, and I'm very open in public because I feel that everybody has the same body parts. It's just a little shaped a little different, right?
Right.
Some a little hairy, some a little big, short, long, whatever, however you want to call it, right? Uh, my issue is the crack hair.
What about it?
Like, so if you pull it, I know this is so off topic, but if you pull it, how long does it take to come back? Because I know if you cut it, it's like
About 4 to 6 weeks.
4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Does it come back thicker?
No. That's a myth. That's a myth. And actually, the back is easier than the front. Way easier than the front.
That's easier than okay.
Yeah, but a lot of guys they don't get that done. I don't know what that's about. It's like, no, I'm a man. Yeah.
Baby, I'm gonna tell you, I might just be your first. Then you can have that back there. I just don't like it.
Yeah, and I'm like, it's way cleaner, way cleaner.
Yeah, cause stuff get caught up in the
Tissue,
huh?
tissue.
Yeah, and other stuff. But I'm just saying. So y'all be sitting up here acting like stuff don't get caught up in don't be playing all shame and stuff. But anyway, Miss Whitney, you have anything?
You said that my book is abusive to you. That's
Yes.
always such a compliment.
Yes, it
Shows
guys.
how
Yes, please take it as
relevant
a compliment, please.
the content is. Thank you so much always for having me here on your show and all of the time that I've been here for this special show tonight. I really appreciate it. And
Oh.
for those who were curious, the book is TruthSpeak. Some real reasons men and women don't communicate.
Hmm.
And it walks people through the steps to examine where they are in their experience so that they can have the communicative exchanges for the connections that they want versus the company that they find.
So, guys, when I say that it is the book is coming for me, I'm referring to the older me because I wanted to communicate, but I didn't know how to. So this book would have been great. It's still great now, but it would have been excellent for the me that was trying to that thought he knew what a relationship was at 12 years old, trying to marry a middle school girl, buying a ring and everything and proposing. But yeah, that's a whole nother subject for another day. uh, So we got this lovely video that I'm going to show you guys, and we're going to dive into this very deep conversation. So let's see. Make sure this ain't gonna be loud. I think it's gonna be loud. So y'all excuse me if it's blazing. I apologize.
His pants. He's paying. If that man can't find one that can, you deserve a man, a man that can reciprocate, a man that can be faithful, a man that can be your partner, can be your lover, can be your friend. But instead, you are filling your bed with a man that can't keep his in his pants, a man that can't keep his hands off of you, a man that can't keep a job, a man that can't keep an erection. You got a man that can't, and you wondering why you can't find your happiness, can't find marriage, can't have children that have a supportive father, because you with a man that can't. I tell you, when you find a man that can, now you can find happiness. Now you can get married. Now you can be a wife. Quit thinking you can change these men. You can't. So change these men and find one that can. If that man can't, find one that can.
You know, that last part is what really drove it home for me. And to start it off, truly my opinion only. If y'all choose to agree, that's fine too. But nowadays, more than anything, that for me seems to be one of the main issues that I come across when I'm talking to a young lady about a bad relationship. There, I used to be that person where I'm like that list that what's the word I'm looking for? When you're making a list about what you want, and oh man, your wants are so high, your expectation in a relationship is so high, you need to bring it down a little bit. And with that clip, I can say that I think a lot of young ladies have brought their bar so far down that they just happy to have somebody,
Mhm. I agree with that. And that's actually such a tremendous part of the problem. Everything that Ace Metaphor was saying is true, and I can articulate point by point the accuracy in the things that he's saying. The issue is that he's still dealing with a surface. He's looking at the condition of relationships on their surface. He's not really looking into why women are so comfortable with these can't men, or why they accept the very below bare minimum to be in relationships with these guys. And I would like for us to explore those as well, so that we have a framework from which to launch into the corrective behaviors that will enable the kinds of things that he's talking about becoming true for more relationships.
What you think, Miss Nisi?
I totally agree. I mean, especially if people not knowing their worth, because just like he did mention the then the men will be in the children's life and stuff. But when those men aren't there, you don't have anything to look at. You see what I'm saying? So you're going almost like rolling the dice. Because I've been that girl, rolling the dice. You really don't know. And after a certain amount of relationship, it came to a point where it's like, okay, now I know what I don't want.
Yes.
That helped me a lot better to figure out what was good for me. Being in relationships and being like, no, I love me enough. You know what I'm saying? So I totally agree with him.
I think that's when we find, and I have a deep argumentative spirit when it comes to when people say having sex without emotions. I'm all down for dating. I think dating is very important. And when I mean dating, I don't care if you're on your 100th date with the 100th man or the 100th woman, but don't include sex. You don't have to include sex. I think the worst decision that we can make if we're not seriously committing to whom we're committing or are trying to have sex with is crossing that sexual boundary, because that clouded judgment. And definitely when it comes to men, you know, unfortunately, a high percentage of men think with their penises. And if their penises are good, they feel that they are a worthy pick for not just one, but multiple women,
Right.
unfortunately.
Um,
And so definitely, Ms. Whitney, diving in, I can say for myself, I was a can't man for a long time due to the fact that I did not have a consistent blueprint of what can was or could be or should be.
mhm.
So I went years myself trying to figure out how to create a can man, or feeling as though I already had the recipe because I saw what my mom didn't want or what my mom wanted in her marriage that she didn't get or that she somewhat got, you know. So that was that was my inside. That's what tailored me. But then I realized, you know, being in my first marriage, that this ain't where it's at. You know, I I definitely am pro not staying for the kids if the relationship is extremely toxic.
Right.
I'm not saying don't work it out, because there are some things where it may be toxic, but going to get help, therapy, working it out, sitting down, opening up conversation, um, and whatnot, you can break those barriers down and fix the situation. But if it's so toxic that you're trying to kill each other, which I've been there before, it's time to get away from that, you know. And I am a product of two people that should have separated but stayed together, you know. And I am a product of that. And once I realized that, that's when I in the healing that I think put me in a position to where I confidently can say that I'm more of a can man for not only my wife but for friends. Um, Definitely trying to be more of a can man for my kids as well.
One distinction that I
Yes.
would like to draw specifically,
Mhm.
starkly, between the type of man you described that you used to be
Uh-huh.
versus the man that Ace Metaphor is describing in this video.
Hmm.
You're talking about that you can't from a position of not having an example. Ace Metaphor, I believe, is talking more to women for them to stop selecting men who can't because they don't want to.
And I believe that. Yes.
That's very, very different place from where you are.
Yes.
You were watching the circumstances and you said, okay, this is what I'm seeing. This is what I'm seeing. Oh, wait a minute. That's not exactly right. Let me adjust. And now I am. The
Right.
guys that Ace Metaphor is talking about for these women, they don't want to be in a relationship. They don't want to be committed to her. They have sex with these women and pregnancy happens. They were never intending to be there for her longer than the minutes that they were engaged in this sexual activity, and now they're gone. Those are the kinds of men that he is admonishing women to make better choices than. It's a very different position to understand that a guy may not have everything that you're looking for, but he's trying to work with you
Right.
versus somebody who has nothing that you're looking for, but you're willing to turn him into something and pretend that he is what he pretending that he has the potential to be what you want.
Absolutely.
Clearly see that he's not, but you accept it just because he's a boyfriend. He's somebody um to show off to your girlfriends that you're in a relationship. He is the tool by which you proclaim to announce your worthiness to the world. You know, somebody loves me. I have a boyfriend. And that guy doesn't have to really be anything for the woman who's willing to claim him as her own. just for that validation. And those are the women that he is talking to. Stop making that choice. You cannot change this man and make him a different person. So you change the men by dating a different caliber. And
Right.
I fully stand by that admonition. Absolutely.
Go ahead, Ms. Niece.
Oh yeah, I love it. I love the way you just broke that all the way down. I think a lot of the women that he was discussing, well, I mean, it's really low self-esteem, you know, and coming from being a mom, they might have seen mom do this, that, and the third. So as just nurturers, that automatic, I can change him, or I'm gonna make the difference that the last one didn't make. I'm gonna stand by his side. So now you're accepted, you know. And what I found out is from being that girl is to start dating yourself. Everything that I wanted for me, I started doing for myself.
Okay.
You know, and speaking it into existence, you know, of certain things that I valued in me. You know, if you love yourself as much as you claim to love yourself, you wouldn't dare let somebody else. It wouldn't matter if it's male, female, anybody else alike treat you like that. Mistreat you, because I was the wife, you know, and children got made, you know, and I found myself saying, we can still work this out. Now, of course, the other side of me, like, I know you tripping. I don't know what you smoking, but I know you're not gonna let him play you like that. Yep. But when you don't value and love yourself enough, you are gonna open the doors to stuff like that, because you're seeing, like she said, everybody needing validation. You're seeing all these other people, they're married, they're in these relationships, and you're like, well, if they can handle their relationship, I can handle mine as well. Mm-hmm. But you're setting yourself up, you know, because he's right. If he can't, there is one that can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that basically described, you kind of knocked it out of the park with that, with me explaining my version of the can't and then his version. Mm-hmm. I personally feel both are bad, but the one that he was describing was purposely worse because they are doing it. And I've had friends, I've just seen random people, no random people, classmates that are still living this form of lifestyle to this day. Mm-hmm. And you know, matter of fact, it's another clip. I don't think you know what? Yes, I did. I wasn't supposed to show this one, but it's kind of fits in the playing stream of what Ms. Whitney, you kind of talk about this a lot. What's the word? When a man can and a woman can't, the double standards. This plays on the double standard role of what a man has available and women are subjected to believe to be true. This is like so crazy.
If a woman cheats, she's trying to leave you. If a man cheats, he's just like, it's like a handshake. Yeah. and that's what I mean, because again,
you can absolutely sleep with a woman who you may find very attractive and very sexy and everything else, but your heart is still completely with another woman.
I'll explain to you like this. 100%.
Like, what the world?
Nancy, please go first.
I really didn't understand. Maybe somebody can break that down for me. Where was she coming from?
I had a slight idea where the heck she was coming from.
Okay, I was confused. I was like,
she talking about a handshake.
Okay, here's what I think she meant by handshake. You don't think anything about a handshake. And that's how societally kind of overarches and umbrellas over men's infidelity. He can with whoever, it's just sex, whatever. It may as well have been a handshake. He's back in his relationship. That's where his heart is. That's what the man followed up.
Yeah, that's when I got it afterwards. So what he said.
And yes, go ahead.
Well, no, I was just going to say that's kind of what I got once he chimed in, which I thought was a bunch of crap because I'm like, but it's true. It is true.
I was going to say I found that very true what he said. But is it a double standard for women?
No. Yes, it is a double standard. Women can't do that because again, they'll look like whores and garden tools.
And they probably shouldn't care. I know that sounds bad, but they shouldn't care.
Part of one of the things I was thinking about watching the video is that the last video with the woman talking about the handshake and then the man confirming what she said, that is ironic. And this is why. She was talking about it as it were a bad thing, how casually men saunter around society, having sex with anybody they want, and it's just considered to be of none effect to them. She was talking about how bad that was. And he came behind that comment and said, that's not bad. That's actually how it is. Yeah, that's how it's supposed to be. That's he was
very confident about that statement that he made.
I still love her though. I still love her.
Never in the world, and his heart beat completely somewhere else. First of all, let me snatch the bottom right out from under that nonsense. If a man truly loves the woman that he's in a relationship with, I need to say this carefully.
Say it.
Even if he could have sex with another woman emotionlessly, he would not, because he knows that action would hurt the woman that he claims to love. So the idea that men can have sex unattached emotionlessly, that is a cultivated societal condition that men use to enable their infidelities, and that women are told as doctrine so that when he cheats, she's supposed to not care. She's supposed to allow him to come back home and have no issues.
No, she probably do it too.
And on the idea of women cheating and it being a double standard, sure, she's going to be called all kinds of bad things for sleeping around, but this man is, excusing sleeping around. It's the same thing. It's the exact same thing. When a woman sleeps with somebody outside her relationship, she's sleeping around. That's exactly what it is. When a man sleeps with somebody outside his relationship, it's still sleeping around. It's the exact same thing. But the attitude toward it will be that women are wrong for doing these things. And she's always been a whore. The man never should have loved her in the first place. And in 6 months, he can love somebody else and everything is fine. But when it's the woman who is cheated on because the man is cheating, she's not supposed to have anything to say about that. Because if she complains about it, guess what? She is not his piece anymore.
Ooh, don't bring that up.
Look,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, and you know what? I love the way you slid that in there. But, as he said it so casually, saying that, hey, I still love her. And I was thinking to myself, I said, but she shouldn't care. She shouldn't say anything. She should just go do it in return. She shouldn't care, not in the least, because now you have to change the rules of the game, because I don't like the double standard. She's looked at as you said, a whore. She's always been that. And women can have sex with somebody else emotionless as well. They can have it. Now, do I agree with it? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But I just feel like, it's not fun when Peter got the gun. So when he said it, I was like, him going out, I don't think he's met his match. I think that's what that is. He just hadn't met his match yet.
But you can say that, but you can't meet your match if you're purposely looking for smaller fish to control.
I like that.
Or the type of caliber of man that you're dealing with. Because I'm not going to even pay any man attention that I'm not meeting anybody else that's with somebody else. Like that's nothing that I won't be bothered with. I'm not dating anybody that don't want to take care of their children. I'm not dating anyone that the minute something don't go their way, they want to destroy things. I'm not dating that type of man, because I won't tolerate. So most people, I'm not gonna say women, most people, the type of person you're dealing with. Whether it be the small things in the beginning that we just overlook.
I was trying to say that it's overlooked, those flags.
You see it from the very beginning. So whether you wanted to just turn the other cheek and act like you didn't see it on you, but that's when you have to have your own accountability. Because most of the time, people know exactly who they're dating.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Again, it goes back to at the end where he was like, you can't change them. And that's why I definitely say you have to look at it and through both sexes too, because again, I had my fair share of thinking that I can change someone because I'm doing for them or trying to be that, as he would say, that can man. But if that's not what they, I might have, because sometimes we can overstep ourselves and try to be that person that just doesn't move for that person. And for an example, I got a couple of examples. One, like how someone leaves a relationship, then get in a relationship with somebody else, and then the other person that they were with on the outside looking in saying, well, dang, why they ain't do that with me? I did basically the same thing. And sometimes with men, certain women make them move certain ways. And that's what I hate about how some men walk around and they treat women, because you know exactly that this person, and I've said this before, when you come across a female, you know exactly who she is, where she fits, where you want her to fit, where you would like for her to fit. Now, it is her decision to fit in any of these categories or sections that you're politely wanting her. I ain't even want to say politely because some of them are just rude. That you're wanting her to fit in. It is still up to her to sit up here and say, nope, I am not going to fit myself in that corner that you're putting me in.
Boundaries.
Because I consider, I told her, hey, you my wife. And she blatantly said, I don't know what tea you sipping, but I don't see that, but okay. And so I had to deal with that. It wasn't that I turned away. It wasn't that. So then I must not see it. No, I knew what I saw. I knew what I felt in my heart. But I also knew that just because me saying that, that just wasn't going to allow her to just drop her heart and say, or not drop her heart, but open her heart and say, wee, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And we get that. I think a lot of us as men get that misconception of when I sit up here and I tell her what I think she is to me, she just automatically just follow the line.
You know what? Can I piggyback off that?
Uh-huh.
I remember when me and my husband were dating, and I remember him coming home and telling me something that was going on at his job. And he said, yeah, I told him I had to ask wifey first. And I said, please don't do that when we get, if I'm around these people. I said, because you'll get embarrassed. I said, because you're not allowed to call me wifey if I'm not your wife. We need to be married. No, I'm your girlfriend, and that's what it is. Until you put a ring on it, we're just boyfriend, girlfriend. So I wouldn't allow certain privileges because we're not going to pretend. It's either it is or it's not.
You're right.
I like that.
That's cool because again, even though I told her that she was my wife, I still asked her to be my girlfriend. Mm-hmm. So we went through those phases, and I think my thing was for me was kind of like what you were saying at the very beginning of the show. I don't know if we were live yet, but speaking it in existence. I'm definitely a true believer of that. And but I see your angle of it as well. Because even with him saying that, especially at the job, especially if he's talking to men, some men look at it as being, oh man, you're a pussy, you gotta go home and listen to wifey. Yeah, I love going home and
right.
So this came up, and I don't know, I might do it, I might not, or what you think about it. I love it. I love being able to come home and ask, hey, something came up. So what's your point of view of it?
Right.
I think for so that people don't misunderstand, Nisi, what I believed you to be telling him when you said, don't call me wifey if that's not who I am to you, as a boundary. I said I like that because there are women who want to be in that kind of relationship so badly that if the guy uses those words, she responds to that.
Yeah.
And now she's hooked. Now she's hoping, and he knows it.
Right.
So if he has laid that bait, if you will, and she bought it hook, line, and sinker, he doesn't have to do anything else now, because at this point she's just waiting for him to make that title official.
Absolutely.
And he'll wait and wait and wait, and he will have to do nothing because he knows that she's going to wait out now for him to propose, because he's calling her wifey and she's moving in her mind in that direction when he may not be.
I can see that.
Right.
When you said you don't call me wife until that's who I am to you, I understood that. I completely got that. From the point of, you know how people begin to say I love you too soon?
Right.
And then one of them wants it to mean more than the other one is intending for those words to mean. This is the same premise.
Right.
When a man is trying to address a woman as wifey, if he really doesn't have any intentions along that way, then that gets her emotions more available to him than they ought to be.
Absolutely.
Miss Whitney, why are you picking at me?
I'm not picking at you.
You're always picking at me.
I drew a column. There are two columns. There's you, and then there's those guys that Ace Metaphor was describing. You are in the column over here. We're talking about guys on this side.
I love you. I love you. I love you. I love
you. But that comes from figuring out what I don't want.
Yeah.
I don't want to be anybody. They say if it's not broke, don't fix it. So I knew I didn't want to be with anybody for 10, 15, 20 years still being a girlfriend. So I feel like by year 2, maybe even 5, 2 to 5, at that point you should really know what you want. Don't waste no time, because if you want children, if I tell women that all the time, if he said he don't want children, believe him.
Yes.
Or be a single parent, or be a single parent, because that's what it boils down to. If you can't, just because you think he has all the qualities you want, if you think she has all the qualities that you want, but you study having to teach all the time, and parent that person all the time. No, I mean, you just keep it moving.
I agree with that too.
Yeah.
I think that in connection with what you're saying, there's a difference between teaching someone how to love you,
right,
if they don't have the basic steps of how to love anybody.
Exactly.
Especially themselves.
Those are two different things. And there are women who are willing to drag themselves through project relationships. When the man is a project, we call it the broken, the wounded bird syndrome or something like that, where she's attached to the notion of this guy that she can fix.
Right.
And that becomes her impetus. When no one will change but for who they want. That's why there are people who can be in a relationship and a woman is looking for the guy to do certain things and he doesn't do those things, and then they break up, and then he's in the next relationship for 5 hot seconds doing everything that the previous woman wanted him to do but just wouldn't. Why? Because he knew that he didn't want to do those things for her.
I feel that. I do. I think that's a case with that too. And then I find also another case that people don't talk about, that can be the can kind of dwindle just a little bit into the I can't category when it comes to those situations. And again, I'm gonna piggyback on all of y'all and actually pinpoint on both sexes where going back to what you just stated about the person leaving a relationship and dating somebody else, and then the other person is saying, oh man, why didn't you do that with me? Something else that people don't look at is you have some people that make that project, that person, and they get so consumed with that project that they lose themselves, that they're not growing as well.
Right.
So you do have people that, dang, this person actually really helped me become a person that I love myself, and I want to be with this person, but dang, this ain't the same person, which I know people grow, but that person has set in because now I've done all of this. They didn't grow with that person. And that was one thing that I did tell I didn't like tell, yes, we did. We basically no fixing. We are kind of fixers, and I somebody. And when I came into this marriage, she definitely brought herself in like, I don't need to be fixed. But then we both kind of came in like that, but then came across some things like, oh dang, that stuff still kind of hurts.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it wasn't a situation where, dang, she's a wounded animal and I got to fix her, versus my baby's going through some things and I'm just watching and seeing and seeing where I can help walk with her while she's going through this journey. Doctor that's going to fix her and whatnot, because I find that becomes that animosity that you have, that resentment towards that person. Then you start hating, that person. And going back to Ace, to bring it back full circle, where you have these people that is doing this that you are allowing.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to Nisi, we allow these people to do this to us, to like take up so much of our time, and then we turn around, we're trying to figure out what 15 years have gone, and we really can't blame a person per se from us knowing that this person is really not doing what they should be doing when it comes to a relationship with us. So at some point you have to hold yourself accountable. And so it goes back to that end part of him saying, find somebody that will.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
With someone that does not. So that's my end part on it. Before we go to the next clip right quick, guys, to end this show off, what do y'all want to end with?
What I would end for Ace Metaphors clip, the last thing I would end on that point would be that the admonition that he's giving to women to choose better is absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
There just needs to be a societal infrastructure in better place for women to be emotionally able to do that. When society is telling women you're not valuable unless this, you're not valuable unless that, you're not valuable unless all that and the other, then she doesn't know where to get her value from, except for what society is saying she should and shouldn't do. She should be perfect. She should look this way. She should look that way and do all of these other things. If she did not believe that as thoroughly as she does, then the admonition that he's giving them to choose better would be unnecessary, because they would know to. They would be prepared to. They would have the emotional the emotional fortitude to make the choice to be alone if that is the option versus being in a bad relationship. But society tells women that unless you have a relationship, you're useless or you're not worthy unless you have kids and all of those types of things.
Yeah.
He's right, but he also needs to address why women are in the place that they are to choose these can't men who really just don't want to.
I would say when he said choose the can man, I think it should go back around. They need to choose themselves. They're not responsible for how society views them. They're responsible for their own healing. I wish the world was that great to how society looks at people, but if they don't view themselves as valuable, that's something they have to work on. Otherwise, they're going to keep finding that same man over and over again because it's something in them. It's something in them. Keeps choosing the same caliber of men and women over and over again. So until they think it's going to be the same thing over.
Right. I agree with both of you guys' point of views because there's that type everywhere, and definitely needs to. I think we can kick the society as much as we want to, and the people that are unfortunately running these countries are. Let me just go ahead and say it, elite, hypocrite, stuck up, selfish, just nasty people. But yeah, that's a whole nother story too. But so to piggyback off of metaphor, to change it up just a little bit, we hear a woman expressing, I'm not gonna say kind of like him, but yeah. Excuse the language a little bit.
I like how fragilely you're trying to introduce this.
Yeah.
Not heal his trauma. It will not fix his credit score. It will not morph him into the man you've conjured in your imagination. You can't teach a grown man how to unlearn his father's mistakes if his heart is unwilling and immature. You can't prop open his mouth and force the language of commitment down his throat. I don't care about what your mouth can do if your tongue is swollen with pride. How come every time I let you inside of me, it feels like a home invasion? I've tried to sanitize your lies before consumption, but I refuse to digest the promises of a trespasser. You don't reciprocate, you just take all the good and mercy out of me. See, I just want the girlies to protect their peace and pH balance. Some of these men aren't worth the inconvenience, not worth the perpetuating cycle of you compromising yourself. The geography of your body is sacred land. It is not a cemetery for him to bury the corpse of his guilt and shame inside of you. Having good will not heal his trauma.
So I feel that she was kind of hitting pretty much where he was hitting too. A little bit more expressive with it, maybe. No?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I see the parallel now. I do. I see the parallel that you're making. Yes.
Yeah.
Both of them are admonishing women to make better choices.
Yes.
I think she was dealing more with what I was talking about than he was. She was dealing more with the things that women think about themselves versus he was just saying, stop doing this, do better.
Right.
And those affect the same outcome, but they're a different path towards it. So yes, absolutely, she was right.
I think from the beginning, when you spoke about sex, LaRon, that when she said protect your pH balance, because I think what happens is when you talked about sex confuses things. Sex confuses things. A man could have sex with a woman and he has no emotion towards her, but But in her vagina, he does love her.
Yes.
He loves her. You know, but that's, I mean, that's why it's important not to sleep with everybody. Yeah. Mixing those ties, you know, because you're thinking, oh, if I grip a little tighter, you know, he'll be back in the bedroom. He'll be home. I'll just cook him a meal, and this time he won't cheat anymore. Mm-hmm. Let me do it a little bit better this time, you know. Oh, baby, I ain't gonna do it no more. And then it's just a continuous vicious cycle over and over again.
Well, let me say, we go back to the I love you part. I'm not gonna say to a certain degree to that they love her more than the service. I find myself hearing men complain. You know what? We were on the show, I think, Miss Whitney, where I was reading off, or I was just on the show by myself, and I was reading off where I came across this Facebook post how the man was talking and basically down to women. And it's pretty much how he was saying that he can't stand a person in a woman, not a person, a woman in a high position, because he wants to have sex with her so that he can talk down to her because he don't like the fact that she's a CEO of the company that he works in. So I find men going in, and it's easy to tell a woman that I love you if the parts feel good or give you this high feeling of some form of passion. And for me, that's emotions. You know, if I had this conversation with my son one time where it was like, yeah, I go in every time, and I'm like, don't you know when you do that, depending on the female, that you're a woman, and sorry guys for the choice of words I'm using, but whoever she is, sometimes women, they respond off of that, because if a person is going in and making these particular moves and, you know, grinding in the way, speaking these words of affirmation of love to you while they're giving it to you, yeah, they're gonna have some form of, oh dang, he really likes me. Maybe not love, but he really likes me, you know. And I feel that if you call a person the day after wanting some more, you emotionally attached.
Or maybe I just like the sex.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. There are two thoughts two things I want to share.
even with a man, I know that you may like it may just be because I like this, but still,
you might have did it how I like it. That don't mean I love you.
Well, no, definitely not that. But I still feel that say form of a emotional connection, you know. And I guess for me, and throwing myself up under the bus again, or, you know, like with my wife or anybody, I can't have sex with you. If I have sex with you, for me, I'm in a committed relationship. So if I know this relationship is not a committed relationship, I'm not trying to go get in bed with you, regardless of how fine and sexy you are. That's just me. I know everybody don't think like that.
Yeah, it's not.
Go ahead,
I want to say like that's different. You know, that's different versus the man. You know, that even she was talking about. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, they don't care. Like it's not a priority. The sex was just good. You know, you played out how I saw in my fantasy. That's what I liked about the sex. That's what it was. So me calling you the next day, you calling the next day, you like that person. Them calling the next day, like, I like the way she do that little shoot. I just want it again. So now it's new. I'm sorry. That's what it is. So it gets confused. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So for him, it's just a confusion. That's all it is. Thinking with the lower regions. And then he be done sit up there and got with somebody crazy because she don't know how to separate the two. So now she outside your bushes. Showing up at your workspace. All because you want to do the little dip with your hips.
Yeah.
And say, I love you. This is mine. So now you don't sit up there and just play with her psyche.
I was meaning in that, and that's something I was trying to explain, or that's something that I do explain, feel of that's his way of showing his worth is being the best in bed sometimes. And I feel like, that's, if you're really not fully committed, casual okay sex is fine, because once you go across that threshold of I'm the crap, and you actually really are the crap to her, or even vice versa, because you have some women that can sit up here and been there, done that too. That can roll some hips or do whatever, and you just be.
I just saw the emoji.
I know,
yeah, right? You be like, hey,
exactly.
And you be looking, and you be like,
I think I love her.
Yeah,
I think I love it.
Okay, there are two quick thoughts I have. Emotionless sex from the woman's perspective. People aren't going to like this, but it's true. Most of that happens with her husband.
Ooh.
There are women.
Look how he's looking.
No, but she's right. He is right. It's all almost like Color Purple.
There are women who will say, I've asked my husband 500 times to take the trash out, and he won't do it unless I promise him a little night treat once we go to bed. For her, it's emotionless. It's a chore. It's a means of what needs to be done in order to get the house clean, in order to get the trash out, in order to clean the garage, in order for whatever she's asked him to do. And I heard a woman say that, like, I don't know, maybe 25 something years ago, and I felt so sorry for her. I felt like for the sacred sanctity of what's to be within marriage, it's reduced to a chore for her to convince her husband to do what he's been asked to do. And I feel like that is there's
not to cut you off, but with you saying it like that, I didn't look at it like that.
But
I get it now that there is a form of that is definitely a form of emotionless sex
for a woman, yes. And it's so sad that for all of the sensibilities of women that are exploited in society and how she's taken advantage of for being the certain kinds of ways she is, it ends up being in marriage that she's practicing this emotionless sex. Before she's married, you can't have sex with a man because all your emotions are tied to him forever and ever throughout the thesis age of eternity. And now you're stuck to him for all of your life when he doesn't care. But when she's married, it becomes emotionless. I think that is a very unfortunate dichotomy that society has set up. And it's going to take some serious work to undo it. The second thing I wanted to say, women are taught a man's needs as obligation, but men are taught a woman's needs as a means to her end. What I mean by that is women are told if you don't do A, B, C, and D sexually for a man, he'll find somebody else who will. So now she has to be this freak in the sheets and the lady in the streets, or whatever all of the things that they say about how she's supposed to be kept and in perfect decorum out in the streets, but when she's inside, she's the wildest, most crazy freak he can find, because she is taught that if she doesn't do those things, that some other woman will, and that's the way that you're supposed to keep him. So you're supposed to do all of these crazy sex tricks or whatever he's asking, so he'll stay with you. That's what she's taught. But the man is taught a woman's needs as a means to her end. Women need an emotional connection. Tell her you love her and she'll sleep with you. These two notions go back to how very differently men and women are taught to think about not only relationships, but sex and marriage. And when a woman is told that the only way you'll ever have sex is to tie your soul to that person, and men are told you can have sex 20 times a week if you have the stamina for it, no big deal, it's always going to be difficult for the man and the woman to begin to see eye to eye on the priority that sex should have. And it becomes, I'm going to say this with just a little bit of societal license, okay? It becomes infuriating to me personally when I'm watching women time and time again believe things that they know are not true. She knows that she cannot change his behavior, yet she tries to anyway, to be the different person. We've been talking about all evening, just almost, that a guy will only change for who he wants to change for. There is nothing that a woman can do that will make him want to be married if he doesn't. So for women to shell out all their wifey wares, showing that she can cook, showing that she can do this, showing that she can do that, in front of a man who has no interest in being married, then she ends up sad and heartbroken, and now all men are dogs to her.
Yep.
Can I piggyback off that?
Yes.
I was gonna say, what I found is men like a woman with boundaries. Nobody wants to push over. I feel like men are like they're naturally born to chase. So if you don't give them anything to work for at all, I'm just gonna sleep with you. I'm just gonna do this. I'm just gonna, fix your meal. Now I just called you everything but a child of God. I just refuse to change your tires. But here you are, washing my drawers. So now I'm gonna do anything I want because it's not like you're gonna give me a consequence. I just slept with you last week. So, but here you are trying to make it work. So now it's like I feel like it's when you don't have any boundaries, and that goes for any type of relationship, even with your boss, even with friendships, even with your children. If you do not set boundaries, people's behavior is to take things for granted.
That's right.
If I'm afraid to lose you, there's certain things that I'm not going to do. And if I know I keep showing up late on my job, but I know my boss don't play that. So after the third time, I know for a fact, because he or she has shown time and time again that they fire people on that third time that they're late. Right. So if I know I can cheat on you, and then 2 days later we'll be hugged up, Netflix and chilling.
Yeah.
The next time it's gonna be easier. But the next time I ain't got to cry and beg for your forgiveness because you're gonna forgive me anyway.
Right.
That emotional entitlement is something that really needs to be dismantled. And the only way that society in general is going to dismantle that emotional entitlement is that women are going to have to start sticking up for themselves. Women are going to have to start saying, yes, I love you, but you cheated, so you can go. The problem is, as it currently stands, society does not really support when a woman does that. As soon as she's single, people are asking her, what did you do to make him cheat? What did you do to make him unhappy? Now his cheating becomes her fault. And she cannot wave a magic wand over him and make him do right, because if she could have, he wouldn't have cheated.
See, you know what? Got to get a better set of friends. Like it's certain stuff I'm not even Okay, so for instance, it's certain stuff that I don't even put in my mind anyway. So like I don't watch the Love and Hip Hop, this show and that show, because I know that is not healthy.
Yeah, it's toxic.
To let somebody continuously cheat on me, continuously make a baby on me. I've been there.
Yeah.
And I know that feeling of not wanting to eat, not really taking care of myself because I'm sad. He sees I'm sad. Maybe he'll change. No, goodbye. Because let me tell you something. People always miss what they hate. That's why when you break it off with somebody, what happens? 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month later, 2 months later, 3 months. Here come they raggedy tail, come around the corner. Oh, I was thinking about you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again,
it's a service. If you definitely were a good service to that person and you took that, our counselor told my ex-wife that it's not that you were still in love with him or even saw him as a friend. You were pissed off with him because he took something from you. Service. You took a service from him. I mean, from her. Well, he took a service from you because the stuff that I was doing. And I go back to you talking about the boundaries. I think there's another word for that because yes, you do need boundaries, but some of the things because I've dated those women, those were the women that I kept bringing to myself, and it wasn't boundaries that they had because they belittled me with the same context, and I stayed, and I even watched people literally walk out the house, get in the car to go be with somebody else, just to come back to sit up here and say, I knew you was, not to say it, but to see that look on their face and say, I knew you was going to be here. That's why I did it, because I knew that your love for me sees past the point of me walking out and giving myself to somebody else and coming back as a wounded dog. You're going to take care of me. You're going to pick me back up. You're going to, and I did that. And this is not an excuse, but I saw that throughout my parents' marriage, in the sense of not the cheating part, but the sense of my mom seeing my dad do or say things or not do or not say things that she needed, and she stayed after even saying that, hey, you know what, I don't like the situation, and I think that we're going to leave, and didn't leave. So I thought that's what we were supposed to do, because this is an episode coming up on one of the podcast shows where we talk about longevity as a misconception of marriage in the Black community, because we go back and we look at all our grandparents and say, oh, I want that marriage. I want that marriage. It's 50 years strong. But then you got grandma and granddad living in one wing of the house, the other person living in that wing of the house, and they've been like that since 2 years after they got married.
Ooh. Mm.
And you sit up here, you want that marriage because that longevity, because that man or that woman didn't leave. But then you ain't paying attention to your cousins or your aunties or your sisters or your brothers, and seeing the trauma that particular marriage has caused or created. I know that I needed to go get healed and go get help in order for me to even have some form of marriage because of where I came from. You know, and so I don't think it's too much as being boundaries, because we do need boundaries with work, with kids, with partners, with friends, with society in general. Mm-hmm. But people like that what you were saying, they said, though, for me, just personally for me, those are not boundaries. Those are those people, and you get this from both sex. But me personally, I received it from women with that cutthroat tongue, and that just, I mean, to the point that I was like, shut up. be quiet type talk down to, and might as well say, I sat down, yes, ma'am, because for me, having my disability, not being able to walk, society has basically told me, them, as Miss Whitney would say, they have told me that I'm a man, and if I can't provide or protect in whatever form that they say that a man should, I am no good. And that's how I saw. So that's how I sat. And that's why I soaked in those relationships the way that I did. And it wasn't until I understood that they are full of shit.
Them they?
Yes.
Them they definitely full of shit.
Yes.
Let me tell you, I definitely feel you on that. I didn't get this way until, and like I said from the beginning, when I realized what I did not want. So I had them been through the, being talked down to, or late, or being in the house wondering, when is he coming home? I've been there. I grew up in an environment where my parents were married for a long time, and I was like, ain't no hell I'm raising my kids in this dysfunction. So now I show my children different, where I can be upset, but we can also, me and my husband can also have a conversation. We can disagree agreeably. You don't have to yell and
fight, kick,
break stuff, because I feel like that is more damaging than anything.
Right.
I witnessed, I saw physical abuse, I saw verbal abuse, emotional abuse, and I was like, so I mimic those relationships. All those relationships. Okay, I'm mad. I'm about to spaz on you. I'm about to swing on you. Mm-hmm. Or, oh, he cheated. You know what? I'm done. 30 minutes later. Why would you do me like that? So all those relationships.
Wait. I got one better for you. What? I didn't mean that.
Right. And and from that, I'm just like, okay, this is not what I want.
That's right.
Okay, this is not what I want. So I'm not going to let it pass. It's different with small things, but I'm talking about that kind of toxic behavior that is so toxic. Like, I don't want you embarrassing me in these streets.
Right.
I don't want you sitting up there, oh, shut up, because it makes you feel better.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's what I had.
But I've been through all of that. So now, not necessarily that part, but just allowing people to do whatever they wanted.
Right.
And I just masked it as being, I'm taking the high road.
Yep. Turning the other
I'm being the bigger person. And I'm like, and I had to look at myself in the mirror. And I started doing that after my first marriage. Look at myself in the mirror. You ain't nobody punk. I take myself out on a date.
Yep.
I tell myself I'm beautiful.
Try Jesus.
And it came to a point like, no, I don't want to be with anyone that I feel like slapping.
Right.
I don't want to be with anyone that I feel like giving any other name besides the name that they were given.
Yeah.
I have my own bout of self-control. So there's no excuse for you getting upset with me saying, you know what, that food you made was nasty, and I slap you upside your head. I have no self-control at that point. You should leave. Yeah. That should be it. That should definitely be it.
You know how many people are staying right now because of that, and it's like, oh, he loves me.
I love my children. I love my children so much, but I tell people all the time, I love me more than I love anyone.
But but that's a true statement, and that's something that I have. We tell our kids too. And my mom, well, no, it wasn't my mom. It was somebody else that basically, actually, it was at a church. I don't go to anymore, but it basically stated that, God, parents, then the kids, because if the parents don't take care of themselves, they can't take care of the kids. Because there's so many relationships are society, they have said that, the kids come first. You gotta put yourself in debt. That's again, like we just told the kids, you know what? Y'all get Christmas throughout the year. And we ain't finna sit up here and be piling up thousands of dollars of debt just because society has said that your kids need this gadget, your kids need these pair of clothes, and it's just the programming is so deep.
Oh yeah.
It is so deep, and the fact that you see the programming is there, and the fact that you're still walking that fine line and complaining about it, what kills me.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what I was about to say. I was making the point earlier that when people do these things that they know are wrong, why? And it's because of the societal infrastructure and the way that things are in place now that you're talking about this fear of missing out, that suddenly you need the latest $1,200 phone when the only thing wrong with the phone you have now is what they've done on purpose, so you will buy another one.
Right.
That type
of talk about
that that type of, I'm going to call it what it is, manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
is hard to get away from, even when people know that they're being manipulated. And people won't be able to do that without a sense of self-worth. And I think that's what you were talking about when you were trying to say it's not necessarily a boundary, but it's more substantive and more generally applying than a boundary might have objective standards and being. If a person values themselves, there are things that they won't tolerate.
And I didn't. I can tell you truthfully, I did not value myself. And I tell anybody that moment that I did, and I was like that on our last episode of the podcast, like I was telling my wife, that moment crossing that that city line, we weren't out the state yet, but the city line on my way back here, it was like a relief of, dang, I should have did this long time ago, but the fact that I'm doing it now, I am proud of myself. And it was a door opening of me loving myself and wanting better. So I want to close off on a note of, we are known for the changing the narratives. So looking at both clips, actually all three of them, definitely, which we're just ending with the no, I got like 33 minutes. Why, you finna cook something? No, nah. Wait, turn the light on the oven, and it should be like puffy. She look cute, baby.
I'm imagining that cake. I'm sorry.
You imagine the cake? Yeah. But man, she's so pretty. She kind of got me thrown off. Yeah, got me all thrown off. The stop allowing. That's what I'm trying to get to. Stop allowing yourself to be victimized when you know for a fact you're worth more than being treated like something left outside poop, basically. Not the poop in the toilet, because that's bougie poop. I'm talking about dog poop, that can't even get in the toilet.
The butt of the bread.
Yes, the butt of the bread. Yes. So that's my changing the narrative. Pretty much what we've been expressing at the end of the show. Finding your worth inside yourself, not someone making you worthy of something, because no one can make you worthy more than you making yourself worthy.
That's right.
Okay.
I have an analogy that I've given to several of my friends about this that I've spoken to them. If you imagine a gold coin, it is what it is. It is a treasure. It is valuable. It is a gold coin. The value of that coin is not lessened just because the person who has it uses it under a table leg to level the surface.
It's still a gold coin, right?
It is still a gold coin. What you learn from that illustration is that the person who had the gold coin didn't know how to treat it. That didn't lessen its actual value.
Right.
And I think people need to see themselves as gold coins in some cases. They have to recognize that, yes, these bad things have happened. Yes, I've been through bad situations. Yes, people have done these bad things. That does not stop me from having value that is worth protecting so that those things don't happen again. There are people who believe that you attract a certain type of behavior onto you. In the general application, I do not believe that. Your relationship history is more a depiction of what you allow than what you attract.
Right.
If you imagine an old lady, if she goes outside from the front porch to down the street to the corner store, and some guy sees her and says, "Ooh, there's an old lady by herself. I'm going to go rob her." There is nothing that old woman did to attract his criminality. That was an impetus of his own. He looked at her and thought that she was not attracting him to be a criminal, because had he done nothing, she would have been to the store and home completely unaccosted.
Right.
He wasn't attracting a criminal. He saw her and decided that's what he wanted to do. Now, of course, the little old lady can't fight the big muscle man, robber, whatever. But the point that I'm making is she didn't attract his dysfunction. There are certain cases where women are in relationships with guys that they feel that they attract the broken wound, the broken wing, the project guy, the dysfunctional man who's the prone cheater, all of these bad things. She feels like that's what she's attracting, but she's not. There is nothing she is emitting that acts as a magnetic function to attract that type of man. It is her allowance of that behavior in her life that conditions her that this is what continually happens. That's why she has to make the change to stop allowing those things and stop blaming it on attraction. Because if she is emitting something that she can't control, when will she ever change anything? When will anything ever be different?
But that's the self-excuse.
Exactly. And the last point that I wanted to close on as we're wrapping up is that how do I make this concise? You, as any individual, will only have healthy relationships to the point that you yourself are healthy. There are people who are out here talking about, I want a relationship that's a 9 or a 10, and they won't deal with their dysfunctions that have them working at 4 and 5. So they're wanting after a relationship that's twice as good as what they're even capable of. And they need to be able to address the issues in themselves, men and women. It's not just women who have issues in themselves, it's men that do too. Men and women both have to address the issues within themselves in order to have that kind of relationship that they say that they want. And until they do, they're going to blame the other person for not being what they expect.
Right.
Wanting them and other people. You want yourself and other people. And that's the problem. they want everything that they're willing to do, they want it back. So like how, your cake, for example. He got me thinking about a cake.
Yep.
So it's like an expectation that I should be able to bake a cake just as good because he knows how to do it. He rounds off the cake nice because that's how in his mind, that's how it goes. It's supposed to bake like this. And then in a way, he's like, it's still on the dry side. I just showed you a couple of times. Now you're starting to irritate me.
Yeah.
Now you're starting to irritate me. So, it's them. I know it's harsh, but it's you. Like if you keep getting the same type of person, it's definitely you. And I had to admit that to myself. I was like, the only way you'll ever change is if you tell yourself the truth. That's why people really get mad because they don't like to hear it.
They don't want the truth. Again, society has basically told our kids, not to cut you off. I'm sorry. I just want to throw it in there. Even with our kids, it's tell a lie. And that's something that me and wifey just sat down and did with our kids. That it's not fair for me to expect for you to be true to me, to tell me your truth, or not lie to me. When now I know just there are certain things that you may, because of their age, in a sense of particular subjects, but to a point, we have to be more truthful to our kids versus they're saying, oh no, I can't tell them this because it's just too grown. I'm sorry, you can go ahead, Nisa.
Oh no. I totally agree with you. I definitely live by that. I remember having somebody, they tried to get me to roll with their story, and my kids is right there. And I said I can't do that. I don't never want my kids to look at me like, oh, you're such a hypocrite. Oh, my mom be lying. No, I don't roll with you just because of a relationship. No, I'm going to teach them that, guess what? You got to own up to your crap. That's just what it is, and I tell my kids all the time, no, we're not going to do the blame game. What was your part in it? And I tell my daughter the same thing. Don't make yourself a target. Don't make yourself a target, because there's certain things that we allow other people to do.
Yep.
And we say I'm just trying to keep the peace. And it's not, because you are allowing somebody else to abuse you. It doesn't have to be physical.
That's right. Absolutely.
You got to tell yourself the truth. I had to tell myself the truth. Nah, you being a real punk in these streets. You are allowing what I call my daughter out her name. What I call my son MF.
Yeah.
No. So I don't call anybody else that. Okay. So those type of women, those type of men, we've all been it. Everybody plays the fool. Everybody.
Yeah.
At one point or another. So, but it comes to a point where, are you going to stop being foolish now or later, when it's cost you so much and you really done lost yourself? Now you done got home. Now you missing teeth. Now that Jerry curl a little dry. You ain't as cute as you used to be, because you done allowed somebody to mistreat you all these years. Now the bags under your eyes have bags. Now you allow this woman to belittle you so much. And I'm not saying you, I've seen it though, where a woman will belittle a man, and hey, that's gonna give everybody around y'all permission to treat them like that.
Yeah.
No, you're not going to see me do it. I'm not going to allow you to do it. You're not going to do it either.
That's right. And that's a great point, because I was just about to add that regarding the can man, the man who is doing all of the right things, who is reciprocating the proper emotion, who is talking about disagreements versus escalating them to arguments, the one who is doing right How do I say this? I want to say that for those guys who are doing right, there are women who are just as toxic to them as society generally accepts that men can be towards women. And I'm not minimizing the toxicity that men exude toward women in making it obvious that there are women who also do this. I'm just making the point that there are some good guys out there. There are some can men out there. And there are women who believe that there are none. That every man they've ever run into has only wanted sex. Every man they've ever run into doesn't know how to hold a conversation and thinks that what you do in text 3 times a week is enough.
Girl, you knew darn well that man didn't text, nor did he have a conversation the first night you met him, and you sitting up here thinking that just because
She done gave it up.
Oh, I gave him some fire stuff, so he gonna talk to me.
Yeah. So in order for these issues to be corrected, there are introspective views that men have to take, introspective views that women have to take, and they have to. Oh, this is not going to go off right, but I'm going to say it to make the point. They have to suffer loneliness if that's what it takes for them to deal with their issues. They're not going to be able to run from relationship to relationship to relationship to relationship thinking that they're going to resolve whatever's actually the issue, because that relationship is too easy a thing to hide the issue under, even though that issue keeps giving its tentacles all over the place and you readily recognize there is a problem. So there are women who don't want to be alone because they look at it so poorly. They look at it as such a misery, a sentence even, they may need that time. The only difference is when a woman needs that time to deal with whatever and find herself to grow to this point of maturity. Many men, not all, many men occupy that singleness with rampant sexual activity. So they're not focused on having sex with a lot of folks. That's emotions. They're not focused on what they need to be doing to mature as a person. And it ends up being just like you said earlier, Nisi, with the guy who is, he looks at women that he's played with and determines that she's not marriage material. And when he's finished playing, then he wants to find somebody who's untouched.
Yeah. Yeah, there is that. Well, guys, I do appreciate your spoken words here, because that was actually pretty great. And I say that, Miss Nisi, thank you for showing your lovely face here on the sofa. We enjoyed you. Miss Whitney, we always enjoy you, even though you pick on me. But Miss Nisi, the door is always open from this point on, my love. Definitely I send out some when the season starts back up, outside of your showing up on our show a little bit later in the year, which I think is going to be wonderful. Miss Whitney, do you have anything coming up?
I am working on a number of things, but the updates are going to be posted to my Facebook page, Instagram, and Twitter. At Facebook, E. Whitney Books. Instagram and Twitter are E. Whitney Books. And I have a YouTube channel now. It's Evelyn Whitney. I have some videos up there that talk about some of the things that we've discussed tonight and some other varying topics as well, regarding moving yourself from the place of dysfunction to a functional, healthy adult relationship.
Hey, all right. Miss Nisi, what you got coming up?
Snatching cats. That's the and look, snatching cats and chest hairs. That's what I'll be doing.
Mercy.
So what do you charge for a bike snatch?
A back snatch.
Not a back. A bike snatch,
The bike.
Not the back.
The whole thing.
Not the back.
No, the whole thing. We're doing the whole thing.
No. I just want that one area. I'm good with the little.
You know what I found?
I don't have taco meat. I have like little permed hair and it's not a lot, and I'm okay with it.
Look,
it becomes aggravating when it grows out my nipples and stuff, and then I have to cut those off. But other than that,
I have learned you cannot give a person a price over the phone.
Oh,
you got to meet people in public, because what you're saying is not that much, but then when I see it, it's an afro.
Oh no! No! Oh no!
It's something that I have to part with a comb and wax.
No.
We don't know.
That's why I stopped shaving back there, because I thought maybe if I shaved my booty more than what I was shaving my booty, then I would have a bush back there, and I don't want a bush in my crack.
It was itching.
Yes, that too. I don't. I'm sorry, we got so off. We supposed to be closing, guys. My apologies.
But I enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed both of you. Thank you for inviting me onto the show. It was definitely fun. I will definitely come back anytime. It was definitely enjoyable. Great topic.
All right.
But you can definitely find me at the Plush Lab on Instagram. I also have a Facebook page, the Plush Lab. I don't have a Twitter yet, though.
You should be snatching cats on Twitter. I'm pretty sure you.
Because you remember when Twitter started, they didn't have the pictures.
Oh,
right. It was just like words, and then if you like somebody's stuff, you retweeted it.
Yeah.
That's the last time I've been on Twitter.
Yeah, I don't got no Twitter neither. So let me stop playing. I don't got no Twitter neither. I had one, but I don't have it no more.
But definitely, that's where you can find me. You can definitely book an appointment at www.thepluslab.com.
Baby, if you still watching, I need my. We gotta get my crack snatched. I don't like it. So
I'm gonna sing Adele. When I go to wax, I'm like, hello. Hello from the other side.
Well, guys, I totally appreciate it. And you all have a great night on that note. Bye, guys.